Hey, my name is Jared Moon, and I'm part of a group of underground athletes you've probably never even heard of before. We don't rely on fancy equipment for training, and most of us don't even have gym memberships. In fact, our motivation comes from within. You see, we have jobs, families, and responsibilities, but we still have big goals, and they aren't getting achieved at a Globo gym. For that reason, we have to do things differently. Our training has to be smarter. We don't have every piece of equipment known to man or a ton of time to train, and we don't need it, because we are achieving amazing things without it. So how do we do it? If you ask your average personal trainer or gym goer, they'd call us crazy. Yet we're seeing results better than most every single day. And it's happening by blending mental training with physical training and becoming an athlete. What we call and welcome to Garage Gym Athlete.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 3 of the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Jared Moon here with Joe Courtney. What's up, Joe?
Hey, another day.
Another day, another episode. So we're talking about all sorts of different stuff. We're talking about the extras of training. You know, if you want to do other things and you're following certain programming, how do you get better at pull-ups? How do you run faster? How do you get ready for an obstacle course race? How do you add in the extra? But before we talk about the extra, let's talk about our athletes. So, Joe, who we got hitting some mad PRs this past cycle?
Yeah, so first one bringing up is James Mayer hit 20 pounds on his front squat. And this one's interesting to note just because this past cycle, we didn't do much front squatting at all.
I've seen a lot of front squat PRs in the group because we programmed it the preparatory week here, week 0. And a lot of people hitting front squat PRs.
Yeah, I think I only did it. We might have only did it 2, maybe 3 times last cycle, last 12 weeks. But 20 pounds is still pretty significant. So I definitely wanted to highlight that one. April Stegman, I think I'm saying that right. She's on the hard to kill track, but she's also a runner. I think she said she tallies about 40 miles a week running, and she still hit a 10-pound back squat PR on that. I think I saw her note that she's not used to getting stronger while still keeping up with her miles, which is pretty nice, pretty good to be able to balance that. And then Jessica March hit her very first back squat PR on our programming.
Front squat PR?
Back squat.
Back squat. Okay, awesome. That's incredible. Congratulations to all you athletes putting in the work and seeing the results. That's really awesome. Our programming is only a portion of that. It's the work, the effort, the intensity the athletes are putting in. So always happy to highlight those peeps. All right, man. So let's hop into the extras. This is actually a question that we get quite often. People, because our programming is very, one, like we have the tracks, we have the goals, what people are after. So much like if you were to walk into a CrossFit box or a gym where they have programming written for you, you might follow that programming and you're going to get better and you're going to probably get stronger and all the things that come with strength and conditioning and fitness in general, but you might be lacking in some other area. Maybe you're not quite all the way there on being able to do a pull-up or a kipping pull-up or a muscle-up, or maybe you have an obstacle course race coming up or a half marathon or marathon and you want to add in a little extra mileage. And there's a lot of other things like aesthetics that people ask us about. So we'll kind of peel this onion one layer at a time and talk about, we could start with pull-ups because that's probably the biggest one, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, if you get anything different. But the biggest one I get is, what substitutes should I be doing for pull-ups? How could I get better at pull-ups? What should I be doing? I talk about this in Facebook Lives all the time, so I'm happy to be talking about it in a podcast now. But I'll throw it to you because I think you're currently coaching your wife, right, on getting better at pull-ups and stringing more together and all that. So what are you coaching her through, and what would you tell our athletes and everyone listening?
So usually the first step that I noticed with her and with a lot of other athletes, especially females, is having a hard time activating the right muscles and the lats and the back. I noticed a lot of people, or what would happen, especially with her, is whenever she would start to pull up, everything would scrunch up together. Her traps would just shrug up, her arms would T-Rex in, and it was basically just this T-Rexing bicep pull up trying to thing, and it
It sounds like
just wasn't
maximum
working.
effort is what that sounds like. Just
Yeah.
like I will
Yeah, just
I will contract every muscle I have until my chin is over the bar.
Yeah, exactly. Like calf cramp and everything. So that was happening. So the first thing was just taking a step back and making sure, okay, pulling the elbows out, making sure you're arching or making sure you're actually engaging your lats somewhat. And that's when just doing like some banded stuff or some really light things was kind of helping.
Yeah, and that's the how I teach pull-ups. And not really, it's very different than what a lot of people recommend. I like for people to just get stronger. That's basically my answer to every single skill work problem. I don't care if you want to be able to do a muscle up. I don't care if you want to be able to do a handstand push up. If you want to be able to do more strict pull-ups, you're going to have to get stronger, and you're going to have to build more muscle in that process too. So not just strength. If you can't do any pull-ups or you can't do any X, Y, and Z, fill in the skill blank, you most likely need to build more muscle and get stronger. You can do both of those at the same time. A lot of times you can get stronger without having to build any muscle. You can just learn to utilize the muscle that you have better, neuromuscular coordination. But I recommend that people do some hypertrophy work, which is muscle growth type activities, more bodybuilding style stuff. Build some muscle and just work on that for like an entire cycle, like 12 weeks. Like forget about the pull-up, just like forget about it and do whatever you're going to do to build up the pull-up. And so if you want to do ring rows and you want to do negative pull-ups and you want to do all the other things that could help you build the pull-up, focus on those, focus on muscle growth and strength building activities, and then give a pull-up a try again at the end of that 12 weeks, because it really takes a long time to build enough strength to start stringing strict pull-ups together.
Yeah, and pull-ups is just hard to do because, like, at least with strict press, you have a really low strict press, you can just start really light and add weight. Pull-ups, you can't really start really light. You can't just take a few pounds off and start light. So one of the exercises that I had her doing, I even actually had to do myself when I hurt my shoulder a while back and couldn't really support all my weight on it, is putting a barbell in a rack, and I'll put a little weight on it just for security. Put a barbell in a rack at just regular back squat height, kicking out your feet onto like a chair or even on the ground and just doing a pull-up that way, because your back is still upright. You're still having pull-up form, but your legs are taken out of the equation. So, legs are probably half your body weight anyway. So that doing that and working on more reps with that and using the proper muscles really helps.
And like you said, learning to engage your lats. So that's huge, not only in the pull-ups, like it's also a really big deal in the deadlift. I try and teach that. That's primarily what I probably coach the most when people send me videos of deadlifts and stuff, is that there's just no lat engagement. And it's like a night and day difference once you actually know how to do it and how stable you actually feel. So, a quick tip for people, if you're not sure, like, one, if you can really engage your lats and you have some muscle, you should be able to like sit wherever you are now or stand up and you can flare your lats out. Like if you know how to flex your lats, that's all we really mean by activation. Most people, if you're sitting here or listening to this and you're driving or whatever and you're trying to flex your lats and you have no idea how to do that,
just crunching forward.
Yeah, then you don't really know how to engage your lats, and that might be something that you want to work on. But the good news is it's not super hard. How I typically have people do it is like these little micro pull-ups. And so hang from a bar, your pull-up bar, go a little bit wider grips, something like if you were to be doing a lat pull down in like a Globo gym, about that distance, and then just pull up enough to like where you're just kind of shrugging up, and then keep doing that until you can start to engage your lats properly. And I'm talking about basically till muscle failure or fatigue. So just keep doing that over and over. And what's going to happen is a muscle is going to start burning somewhere, right? And and this is how I help people basically find their muscles. And so you can obviously if you're hanging your full body weight, not doing what Joe said, like taking your legs out of the equation, it could be your forearms that go first. If so, do what Joe said and take your legs out of the equation. But keep doing that over and over, these micro pull-ups, until something starts to burn. It most likely will eventually be your lats, and then you can start to learn how to engage that muscle more and more. It's kind of like a finding your way through a dark space. Like, it's turning on lights. Your brain is turning on lights in this dark space to find out how to activate muscles. And that's something I mentioned earlier. Neuromuscular coordination is a lot of people don't actually get stronger by just packing on a ton of muscle. Their brain is actually just learning how to use muscle better, more efficiently, more effectively. And we've talked about it a few times, but that is what old man strength is. That's why old men are stronger than you, is they just know how to use their muscle better than you because they're older and wiser. So that's what I would recommend. Their muscles are wiser. And that's what I recommend, especially for pull-ups and getting started.
Yeah.
And then, kind of on that note, I recommend a lot of banded training. We did an entire webinar on this, banded training, how to add accessory stuff, and because there are a lot of different things that you can use bands for. You can use it for muscle growth, and the reason I like bands so much is because you can do like a banded exercise once or twice to failure, and you'll be, because of the accommodating resistance in bands, you'll be kind of doing hypertrophy with only having to do 1 to 2 sets. So you can add an extra 10 minutes to your training of just doing some banded training. And I won't get into all the intricacies of what you could do banded training. And Joe, if you have some recommendations, you can throw them in. But banded training is a great way because it's only, if you want to go on a bodybuilding program right now, if you've never been on one, the sessions take anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes and they're extremely boring. Like I've tried over the last couple of years to do one of my old school bodybuilding sessions, and I just can't do it. I'm bored out of my mind. Like, I don't know what it is. I just can't really do it anymore. It's very hard for me to want to do it. Like, you're just not sweating that much. You're supposed to really recover between sets and all this stuff. But this banded stuff, it works very, very well, and it only takes a very short amount of time.
Yeah, I absolutely love my crossover symmetry that I use for stuff like that. It was for, prehab, rehab at first, but we incorporate it now because another thing, just noticing with certain lifts, is it's a really good way to target like the middle and upper back and things like that, which break down in heavier lifts and also will help with pulling your shoulders back for pull-ups as well.
Yeah, crossover symmetry is legit. I had a pretty bad shoulder injury a while back, and it was give that a try or have surgery, and it took care of me, which is they're not cheap, but that's how I sell it to people. If I was actually trying to sell it, is what's going to be more expensive as surgery and possibly having chronic injury for the rest of your life because you had a surgery, or just buying a crossover symmetry and investing in that a little bit. Do you remember how much they cost? I don't even remember now. It's been so many years.
I think it's $180 and you get 2 bands, and then after that, each band is $40 or $50.
More. Yeah, they got you good.
Which I need. I only have 2 bands, so of course I need to get another one.
I have all their bands, and one of them are completely. It doesn't matter. Crossover symmetry is fine, but they did make one mistake, and the orange bands are heaviest ones. One of them is really heavy, and the other one is not. It's half as light, and so it's just weird when I try to go to use it. So for some reason I didn't send it back to the company. I should have. Defective band. All right, man. Then this is another big one. So pull-ups we get a lot of. Now, some people have specific goals in their training. Maybe they are trying to do our programming or another or programming in general, and you want to add something more running because you have a half marathon or marathon, obstacle course race, something like that. What do you typically recommend when you get this question from our athletes on how to add more stuff to meet their goals and outside activities?
I typically send them your email. Usually with any of these skill things, especially OCR and whatnot, is I think you might have suggested in the past too, but on Saturdays, since our Saturday workouts are optional or anything like that, Saturday is a good day to work in that and to have another adding some distance. As far as specific workouts, I haven't come up with too many of the specific ones because I haven't done a whole lot of distance training.
And like we talked about, maybe it was episode 1, the endurance track. If we get enough feedback, maybe it'll happen. If only 6 people want the endurance track, then it's probably not going to happen. But yeah, that would be a good place. But yeah, that's what I recommend. What you just said is Saturdays go all out. If you need to get in a 10-mile, because we have Sean McCool, he was on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. He just recently completed the 50-mile star course, the Go Ruck thing. So Go Ruck 50 miles in 20 hours, and he ended up doing, I think, because Go Ruck kind of screwed up, they ended up doing like 60 miles or something, which is just...
Jeez.
It sounds like, it's only 10 more. 10 more is several hours. And but it's awesome. So just to kind of highlight what he did, that's a significant distance event and time. And he followed our hard to kill track the entire time. And I just hopped on a phone with him to talk a little bit about how to add in some extra mileage. He kind of had his own plan worked out too, but he just did some light rucking during the day or during the week. But then Saturdays were his long duration rucks, talking about starting at like 4 miles, then 10 miles, and getting in all these different distances. And that's what I normally recommend for anybody looking to knock those things out of the park. I mean, we did the Super in Asheville, obstacle course race, and I mean, how much extra training did you do for that?
None.
0. Yeah, me too. So you really have to, if you're looking to be super competitive, that's. And I'm talking like you really want to place in like the top 10 or something in your age group or whatever. And we actually had people do that just following our programming. So you really have to ask yourself like how much more is necessary. Another thing I get asked a lot about in running is people wanting to mash, and it's already making me cringe, mash our program with some auxiliary, running program or something else. Generally not a good idea. Unless you are a programmer or a coach and know how to do those things. And it doesn't happen right away. These mashed together programs, like taking Windler strength and then throwing random CrossFit, they work for a little while. Like you're going to be fine for 12 weeks. You're going to be fine maybe for 16 weeks. But if you're trying to do something, if you're actually programming like year-long cycles and you try to do something like that, you will break, especially in the running world. If you're just trying to throw a ton of volume on top of something I programmed and I have no idea that you're trying to do that, you're probably going to break down somewhere. And so most of my athletes who do that, I talk to, like, who do we have on obstacle course racer? Oh, Corey. Yeah, Corey Roundtree. She does extra mileage, but, she talked to me about it. She kind of talks about what she does and stuff, and she has a big running background or following with like cross country and stuff. So, it all depends on what you can take and how much you need to throw in, but just be mindful of that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. Anything else that we need to hit on? I think we got pull-ups, skills in general. I think you need to get stronger is basically my answer. And how do you get stronger? Well, lift heavy things and yeah, goals.
Yeah, and with the pull-ups, you can even incorporate some of that into the warm-up, just like on a daily routine, just to, if it's just for muscle activation and, finding your lats every day, then it'll take you a whole lot. It'll make big strides to get into the pull-up goals. Yeah,
and don't be afraid to, like, however you're going to scale your pull-ups, because we have a lot of pull-ups in our programming, and I'm sure any programming that you're following has a lot of pull-ups. Probably hear my baby crying. But all these programs probably have a lot of pull-ups. And what you need to do when you have pull-ups in the program is stick to whatever you're going to sub the entire time until you get better. Don't jump around. Like, if you're like, okay, well, I heard, wrapping a band around my foot is going to help, so I'll do that. But then the next workout, I heard ring rows help. And then after that, I heard barbell rows help and all these things. And you're jumping around. That's also not how muscle growth and strength really work. Do the same thing for the entire 12 weeks and get better at that one thing. Whether that is, Joe's recommendations, my recommendations, ring rows, barbell rows, whatever it is, do something to build your back, get stronger, and knock pull-ups out the next 12-week cycle.
And if you're working out alone, especially with the pull-ups, video yourself. Because you might get up there and be like, oh, yeah, I think I was fine. But then you go back and look at the video and you look like a T-Rex all scrunched together and everything's just kind of, you're getting into the fetal position trying to get up into the bar. So video yourself helps a lot with a lot of different things.
Awesome. Love it, man. All right, that's all I have for this episode. If you guys have any questions, let us know. But that is it for this episode. Peace.
See you.